This is the W5FC repeater, PL110.9. ARRL NTS Net nightly at 6:30 p.m. W5FC.
amateurs. Skynet will start on this frequency in about 4 minutes. This is N5BB.
W5FC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is N5BB. My name is Bill, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Anybody need to do anything before we start? Again, this is Bill, November 5 Bravo Bravo. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the # break break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from your net control. 5dB. And stations are reminded to identify at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using a W5FC, that's Whiskey 5 Fox Charlie, -R, station ID, or Echolink node 37247. And I am looking at Echolink and watching the chatter that's already going on over there. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You do not need to be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long, structured in several parts. General announcements: Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, National Space Society, discussion topic for the evening by the Net Control Station. Was up? Space exploration and space history. Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, and if we have time, and if there are any good ones, visible satellite passages for the next couple of days. If we have time, then there's time for astronomical questions and answers and our 73 round. Again, all amateurs who are licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. Now let's start with short time check-ins. Anybody that can't stay very long, short time check-ins, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is N5BB, Skynet, looking for short time check-ins.
Hello, India 5, Delta, Juliet, Josh, Texas,
Okay, hold on, Josh. You're very noisy. I heard KI5 something. Tell me the last three letters of your call phonetically and your location.
Delta, Juliet, Josh,
Okay, I copy Kilo India 5, Delta, Juliet, India, Josh and McKinney. Is that correct?
Negative, it'd be Kilo India 5, Delta, Juliet. He's running a repeater. I don't know what's going on with the system.
Okay, KI5, Delta, Juliet. Is that correct?
QSL.
Okay, very good, Josh. No, for some reason you're very noisy tonight. I might check and make sure you're on high power. Sounds like you're mobile. It's weird sounding. Okay, do we have any other short time check-ins? If so, please come down with your call sign, name, and location. This is N5BB, Skynet. Nothing heard for short-time check-ins. So now let's go with RF check-ins. We'll talk Echolink later. So any RF check-ins, please come now with your name, call sign, and your location. This is N5BB, Skynet, RF check-ins.
This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot, India, WD4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-ray, Tom, Bluestone.
is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus, far northeast Dallas, low power.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Good. KI5ICX, howdy Tom. W5GUS, hello again Gus, and WB50ZL, hi Brenda. Yeah, the repeater's a bit noisy tonight for everybody. Okay, any other RF check-ins to Skynet, please come now. This is in 5BB.
This is Alpha Golf 5, Alpha Mike, Rich in Rockwall, AG5 PM.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo 10, Kelly in Quinlan.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick in Dallas.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clay in Mesquite.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, also in Mesquite.
Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill from.
Okay, let's pause there. I recognize, let's see, already got WB50ZL, AG5PM, hello Rich, K5KTX, hi Kelly, KG5APL, hello Patrick, KG5WVL, James, NT5TM, Tony, N5OF, Clay, KF5JHA, Chaz, and KF5ZBL, Bill. Do we have any other RF check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. Okay, I guess that's all the RF check-ins. Now let's look at Echolink. The only other station I see over there on Echolink is Tim, N50XY. Hi Tim, do you want to check in?
Good afternoon, Tom. Yes, you copy. N50XY. Okay.
We got you, Tim. Man, this repeater's scratch you tonight. Okay, excuse me. Oh, and JJ. JJ, do you want to check in, or are you virtual tonight? Okay, JJ is over there virtual on Echolink. Very good. Oh, Chaz. Chaz is making bad jokes over here on Echolink about Albert Einstein, of all people. Okay, one more try. Do we have any other check-ins via any mode to Skynet? This is N5BB.
D5, DPX on Sally.
Okay, the conditions are pretty bad. You're going to have to say your call sign and name phonetically, please.
Whiskey, Delta 5, Baker, Papa, X-Ray, Bobby, Wills Point.
Came through that great that time, Bobby. WD5 BPX, Bobby, and Wills Point. Okay, do we have any other check-ins to Skynet? Oh, I see you now over on Echolink now, Bobby. Very good. Okay, now let's go to the next place. Section of the net. We will have time for check-ins later in the net. Do we have any general announcements? Anything about amateur radio, astronomy, space, or anything of interest to licensed hams? This could be some worldwide amateur event. It could be a local event. If so, please come down with your call sign only.
November, Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Okay, Tony. Before I continue with Tony, do we have any other stations with general announcements? If so, please come with your call sign only. Okay, Tony, go ahead, in 5EB.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like to look forward just a little bit. This is the first full weekend of the month, the first weekend of the month at all, really. So we do have a meeting on the air tomorrow at 7 and a Races training net tomorrow at 8. And a Ham Fixins net will be coming up Monday at 7 p.m. The Ham Fixins net is the only net I ever give a safety warning for. Eat before the net, or else you're going to get hungry and you might even get grumpy. So eat before the net. That's Ham Fixins this Monday at 7. Meeting on the air this Sunday, that's tomorrow at 7, and Races training net tomorrow at 8 p.m. And of course, this is not the last net on this repeater tonight. We have an Afterglow movie discussion net coming up. We'll talk about the 2018 movie, a low-budget science fiction thing, Beyond the Sky, an alien abduction film. Coming up tonight at 10:30 p.m. Information on the Afterglow Movie Facebook group, and you still have time to watch it if you want. NT 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I have one announcement, science-related and kind of space-related. On January the 15th of this year, there is a huge explosion adjacent to the Pacific island nation of Tonga. It was a volcano that was underwater, and it exploded with the equivalent force of 4 to 18 megatons. This released a tsunami, and it released a huge, big cloud of hypersonic material going up. Some ionospheric sounding equipment, monitoring equipment, discovered that this distorted the ionosphere 50 and more miles above the surface of the Earth. Both the original eruption and the sound from the tsunami, because it moves the ocean up and down and makes some low-frequency sound. And they can see all these ripples and big effect in the ionosphere. So, essentially, this is something it's something beneath the surface of the ocean, okay, occurring, which is affecting the upper layers of the atmosphere and the ionosphere. Essentially, it's affecting space. So that's kind of an interesting kind of event. We didn't really know that volcanoes going off, explosions of them, could affect things in space. So if an alien, if somebody on another world was monitoring our ionosphere, there is a signal they could see by just looking at the disruptions in the ionosphere. They don't even have to look at the surface. Okay, do we have anybody with any more news items or any questions? I have one more news item real quick. The Irving Amatorial Club is planning to have our Hamfest again on the first weekend of March. This is Saturday, March the 5th. This is exactly 4 weeks from today. The location will be the normal place, the Betcha Bingo in Irving. You can go to irvingarc.org, the website of the Irving Amatorial Club, and sign up for tables and read more about the Hamfest. If something happens, like a huge, coronavirus spike, we will let everybody know in advance if we have to cancel it. But right now, it's on. Okay. Do we have any questions about any news items before we continue? This is already late check-ins. This is N5BB, Skynet.
November 8, Whiskey Romeo, N8WWR. Romy, Grapevine, just checking in. November 0, Mike Delta, Ed, East Fort Worth, just checking in.
Kilo India 5, Tango India Delta, Chad.
Okay, let's pause there. Recognize N8WWR, Romy. The next station, N0, I'm sorry, I missed your call sign, name, and location. Please try again.
November 0, Mike Delta, East Fort Worth. Name is Ed, Echo Delta.
Okay, I got you, Ed. N0MD. And KI5 Tango Echo Delta, KI5 TED. Chad, where are you located?
Dallas, it's Tango India Delta.
We got you, Chad. I'm sorry. KI5 TID. I'm sorry I bungled your call. Okay, do we have any other check-ins or questions about the news items? This is N5BB. Okay, Hamfest got 2 local nets on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Central Time. There's a net on this frequency, on this repeater. On Wednesday at 9 p.m., there is a similar net on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz. Both these repeaters have 110.9 PL tone. There's also an Echolink net that's available. You can look on Echolink for under groups for asterisk, AMSAT asterisk. There's many other nets here on this repeater, the 88 repeater. On Mondays, there's something going on every Monday. Ham fixings, emergency communications, ham fixings again, the Geek Net, and if there's a 5th week, the Surprise Net. If we told you what it was, it wouldn't be a surprise. I already mentioned the Tuesday AMSAT net on this repeater at 8 p.m. about everything satellite related. On Fridays of each week, the City Simulation net about emergency preparedness is at 8 p.m. on this repeater. And then every day there is a National Traffic System early net is at 6:30 p.m. on this repeater. And then at 10:30 every evening, The National Traffic System LateNet is on the Irving 146.72 megahertz repeater. Anybody's welcome to check into any of these nets. You do not need to be a member of any club to participate or group. You can also check up on all these events by going to w5fc.org, Dallas Amateur Radio Club website. Okay. Do we have any other check-ins before we get to the Texas Astronomical Society? Any late check-ins, please come now. This is in 5EV.
This is WB4MFI, Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot, India. Ted in Dallas. I checked in earlier, but I didn't get a recognition, so I wanted to be sure that I was recognized. Thank you.
WB4MFI. Yes, Ted, I got you on the log. Let me just re-recognize KI5TJJ, Josh, KE5ICX, Tom, and W5GUS, Gus, and WB5OZL. Those are the stations in the first batch. Okay, any other check-ins before I move on to the TAS? This is N5BB. Joe, KG5ZMG, I see you on Echolink. Do you want to participate in the net?
Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
And I recognize KG5ZMG, Joe in Arlington. Hello, Joe. Okay, now let's move to the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. Go ahead, Chaz. KF5GHA, this is N5BB, net control.
Why, thank you, Bill. For those of you that are watching MeTV, Abraham Lincoln is having a rocky time of things right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to switch your TV on to MeTV. Oh, yeah. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be on Friday, February the 25th at 7:30 p.m. The meeting will be held on Zoom. We're not quite sure. March might be a real in-person meeting. We're not sure yet. Tyler Nordgren from the National Park Service will be the featured speaker. The topic is Stars Above, Earth Below, Night Skies, and Solar Eclipses in America's Parks. He has a book similar entitled, and if you're looking at the video version of it, you'll see a copy of the front page of his book and a picture of him, too. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club members will receive an email link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting, sometimes a week ahead of time. Now, the Saturday night public observing sessions have been placed on hold because of COVID for almost 2 years. One of the reasons why Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights was so that there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions that are also held on Saturday nights. But since that's not happening, we're not going to ask for a check-in from them because there's nobody there. Now, if you want to get detailed information about the club, go to texasastro.org for up-to-date information about meetings and public observing sessions. Bill, I think you're going to talk about the National Space Society next, aren't you? It's all yours. KF5JHA.
Very good, Chaz. Thank you. This is N5BB Net Control for Skynet. Yes, I happen to be the membership director of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society. We have a website, nssofnt.org, and a Facebook page, which is the National Space Society of North Texas. We normally have in-person meetings in Irving on the second Saturday of each month, but these have been deferred for a number of months because of COVID. The February meeting will be on Sunday afternoon, February 13th. Our normal meeting time at 3:30 p.m. And it will probably be virtual. That's what we believe at this time. And we don't know the topic. It will probably be Ken Ruffin with a PowerPoint presentation. But don't know yet. This is still being worked out. We have very few, I should say, local events right now. We are preparing for an event here in March. On March the 19th, there is a Design Your World STEM event. This is involving the Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas and their Center of Excellence, which is down in the Camp Wisdom area. And this is an event that we're going to help with with outreach about the National Space Society on Saturday, March the 19th. And we're also helping with the Dallas Regional Science and Engineering Fair. That will be at Fair Park 2 weeks from today on Saturday, February 19th. So me and a couple other people in our group are acting as judges for space-related things at the Dallas Regional Science and Engineering Fair, which is always a lot of fun. Of course, with COVID restrictions. Okay. If you have any interest in National Space Society or our local chapter, you can reach me at n5bb@arrl.net or space@myram.net. That's SPACE at BYROM.net. Send me an email, ask me questions, and I can help you if you want to be a member of the National Space Society or you have some questions about it. So, that's all I have there. Before I continue with the next item, does anybody have any questions, comments, or late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is Kilo India 5, Quebec Lima Echo checking in.
Kilo India 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel. Melissa, Northeast Dallas, checking in.
Okay, the KI5Q station, can you get us your call phonetically, please, and give us your name and location?
Sure. Kilo India 5, Quebec Lima Echo. My name's Kyle. I live in Texas.
Okay, Kilo India 5, Quebec Lima Echo. We have a lot of noise in the repeater tonight. Was that Kyle, K-Y-L-E? And I missed the city.
You got it right, Kyle. Taxi. Next to go in between Wiley.
Okay. Kyle in Saxy. Yes, Kyle, I'm familiar with Saxy. Very good. Thank you. And KI5GRH, hello, Melissa. Do we have any other check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB, that control.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Echo India Uniform. David, St. Paul, Texas.
Kilo India 5, Kilo, Donald and Flower Mound.
Okay, I recognize David, KG5EIU. And Donald in Flower Mound, please give me your call phonetically.
Kilo India 5, Mike, Kilo.
What was that? Kilo India 5, Mike, Kilo. Is that correct?
Correct.
Very good. KI5MKK, Donald in Flower Mound. Okay, do we have any other check-ins or comments in 5BB? Skynet.
This is Kilo India 5 Delta Juliet Josh
Okay, KI5DJJ, Josh. Yep, I got you. You're the first station that checked in. Do you have any comments?
Negative. Sorry, they're doing round 2 on there, so we're going to have it. Thanks for picking me up.
Okay, yeah, I got you checked in. You're the first station I got. KI5DJJ. So any other stations that want to check in late or any questions or comments? This is in 5BB, Skynet. Okay, W5BLT Bill. I see you on Echolink. Do you want to check in? Well, Bill, I'm going to assume that you want to be here but are away from the radio, so I'll check you in myself. W5BLT Bill. Okay, next we have the discussion topic of the evening. And this is by me. And I'm going to talk about Exo-Civilizations. So the title of this article I'm going to read, by the way, the article is in Physics World magazine, and the title of the article is Meet the Techno Signature Researcher on the Lookout for Exo-Civilizations. So I had two complex terms there. Techno Signature, which means looking for signatures in something we can measure, light or radio waves or something. Looking for exo-civilizations. These are civilizations outside of our planet. Sofia Sheikh, I think I'm pronouncing her name correct, Sheikh, is one of a handful of postdoctoral researchers who has specialized in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. In this article, she talks to David Apple about strange signals, Star Trek, picking a tricky research field, and the importance of mentorship. When a suspicious radio signal emerged from the direction of the solar system's nearest neighboring star in 2019, the Breakthrough Listen project put Sofia Sheikh in charge of figuring out what produced it. Was it from an alien civilization, from an exoplanet in the habitable zone orbiting Proxima Centauri, just 4.2 light years from Earth? Or was it a radio signal from any of an almost innumerable number of potential sources on or around Earth? Sheikh, a first-year postdoctoral researcher, was then part of the Berkeley SETI Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Research Center at the University of California, Berkeley. She co-coordinated a team that analyzed the collected data in great detail, looking for similar signal patterns. Meanwhile, other project members searched as best they could through whatever public information they could gather on satellite transmissions and planetary spacecraft. They even examined aircraft in Australia that happened to use frequencies close to the suspicious 5-hour signal, dubbed the Breakthrough Listen Candidate 1, that's BLC-1. The signal was detected by the 64-meter Parkes Burying Radio Telescope in New South Wales, Australia. This is Skynet in 5BB Net Control. Now 26 years old, Sheikh received her undergraduate degree in physics and astronomy from the University of California at Berkeley in 2017. While there, she worked with the Breakthrough Listen project to plan a search campaign of the Earth Transit Zone. It's a special band of space from which an extraterrestrial observer would be able to detect Earth by seeing it transit in front of the sun. In this region, our own Techno signatures, a clear indication of past or present technological activity, pointing out the existence of an advanced planetary civilization, can be easily picked up, thereby making potential advanced alien civilizations elsewhere more inclined to send radio signals our way. The work was published in the Astrophysical Journal in 2020, with Sheikh as the lead author. When she entered graduate school at Pennsylvania State University, Sheikh thought she would move from studying techno signatures to the more accepted field of exoplanet research. It's adjacent but better supported, she felt. But through talking to her future advisor, astronomer Jason White, a leader in the SETI field, she remembered what she loved so much about technosignature research. I thought, even if it's tricky, I want to continue, recalls Sheikh, who ended up doing a PhD on radio technosignatures and pulsars. This is in 5BB. Earning her PhD in 2021, Sheikh was just the 10th person to finish a dissertation in SETI, in the physical sciences, says Wright. In September last year, she was awarded a Mathematical and Physical Sciences Ascending, that's called MPS Ascend, Postdoctoral Research Fellowship by the National Science Foundation. Sheikh moved to SETI as of January this year and is now working with the legendary astronomer Jill Tarter and Andrew Simeon, director of the Berkeley SETI Research Center and principal investigator for the Breakthrough Listen program. This $100 million, that's $100 million, privately funded program was launched in 2015 by Russian billionaires Julia and Yuri Milner. This is Skynet in 5BB Net Control. The combination of Sofia's keen scientific abilities and audacious passion for carving her path is truly remarkable, said Yuri Simeon, says Andrew Simeon, adding that Sheikh is a world-class scientist who is demonstrating vision, tenacity, and academic excellence in researching a profound and challenging topic. Tarter herself agrees, saying that when you work on a potentially multi-generation project, you really need to think seriously about training your replacements. Sofia's MPS Ascend Award gives us the opportunity to invoke the next generation and think laterally about what, who, and where we can expand opportunities for commensal observing programs. This BLC-1 signal was first identified by Shane Smith, an undergraduate student at Hillsdale College in Michigan. When he was sifting through 4 million signals from a 26-hour period of the Parkes radio telescope data, it was soon shared on Breakthrough Listen's Slack platform. An initial screening test quickly ruled out any obvious sources of radio interference. The team then began looking for other interference in detail. Sheikh had a "could this be it" moment, she recalls. I just stopped for a second after seeing the BLC-1 plot, where I thought this is everything we wanted it to be. Sheikh and her team analyzed an estimated 160 terabytes of data that the telescope had also collected, looking for similar signals to the BLC-1 signal that had been identified. It required a great deal of learning along the way and a lot of coding in Python to characterize signals quickly and efficiently. The COVID-19 pandemic made for even more challenging conditions. It was fun to focus on one thing, dig deep, with a detective mindset, she tells Physics World. The whole team worked very hard, she says, even meeting on Christmas Day 2020. This is N5BB and Skynet. Ultimately, Sheikh and her colleagues found around 60 signals that had many of the same characteristics as the original BLC-1 candidate signal, but remained after the telescope was pointed away from Proxima Centauri. We can therefore say confidently that these other signals are local to the telescope and human-generated, she told SciTech Daily in October. Appearing at regular frequency intervals, they likely came from oscillators commonly used in various electronic devices. The BLC-1 signal, she explains, happens to be weird and just the right way to fool our filters. Despite this, their analysis let them develop a great deal of code to characterize signals quickly and efficiently. By helping to improve search algorithms, their work was effectively a good dry run for when the next tantalizing signal arrives, she adds. The Guardian broke the story of the BLC-1 signal on the 18th of December 2020, and soon the news was everywhere. A screenshot on a YouTube video about the work included Sheikh's email address, and she quickly started receiving comments from the public. Not all of them, however, were friendly. Sheikh recalls some nasty emails targeting her for being a woman in STEM, as well as her identity with a Pakistani last name. Luckily, Sheikh's personal experience as a woman in science, for the most part, hasn't been too much of an issue, except for occasional microaggressions that you brush off. Good, supportive mentors, such as Rod and Simeon, have helped in that regard, she adds. This is N5BB Skynet. She grew up in South Carolina, where her father was a gastroenterologist. A gastroenterologist. I can't pronounce that correctly. And her mother, a homemaker and stained glass artist. She was, for sure, a fan of science fiction and watched plenty of Star Trek with her dad. She was also captivated by books such as Physics of the Impossible by physicist and science communicator Michio Kaku. While no means unique to SETI researchers or astronomers in general, her interest in science fiction has helped Sheikh develop plans to look at alternative strategies for detecting intelligent alien life. One could be to look for Clark exobelts, rings of geosynchronous satellites around exoplanets. Another would be to search gravitational waves from accelerating spaceships moving somewhere nearby in the galaxy. This is N5BB, Skynet. As part of her new position at the SETI Institute, Sheikh is also developing a mentoring program involving science and coding for sophomore community college students in the Bay Area around San Francisco. She plans to take feeds from the refurbished Allen telescope array in Northern California and run projects for students to understand the radio frequency interference environment. At the same time, she will provide students with the skills to take on other astronomy and physics projects. Today, Sheikh is rising to prominence in the field, speaking at conferences and publishing recognized papers, serving as lead author on an October 2021 Nature Astronomy paper that presented the analysis of the BLC1 signal. Sheikh has also been invited to collaborate on important ventures like the Characterizing Atmospheric Techno Signatures project, led by Adam Frank of the University of Rochester, New York. The study will build a library of techno signatures produced by current-day Earth that examines how sensitive our state-of-the-art instrumentation can be at detecting those signals. It's the first NASA non-radio techno signature grant ever awarded. So, what does Sheikh attribute her success to at such a young age? Her incredible mentors, Jason Wright and Andrew Simeon, played a key role. Sheikh also advocates always saying yes to speaking opportunities and conferences to get your work out there. Young students who want to get to the cutting edge of any scientific field need to build a network, attend conferences, workshops, and meetings. See if you can find a place to show up. But just as important, Sheikh believes, is to try your best to juggle a half dozen projects at any given time. What you need to do, she says, is to be involved with everything. While neither a pessimist nor optimist about finding extraterrestrial life during her career, let alone a large spacecraft appearing over London or Johannesburg, the fact that we'll have the technology is exciting, she says. Sheikh is now open to looking at other unusual ways for possibly detecting intelligent alien life. David Apple, that wrote this, is a freelance science writer living in Oregon. Again, this was from the is dated February the 2nd, from the February 2022 issue of Physics World. End. Does anybody have any late check-ins, comments, or questions? This is N5BB, Skynet.
Kilo 0 Foxtrot Echo Romeo, late check-in.
E0 FER, please remind me of your name and location.
Chris, Southeast Dallas.
Something broke up. Try again.
Chris in Southeast Dallas.
Gotcha, Chris. I'm sorry. Talked to you before, but I forgot. K0 FER, Chris in Dallas. Okay, do we have any other late check-ins or comments or questions? This is N5BB, Skynet.
W5G US.
Again, yes. Our own astronomer, Chaz, talking about what's up. Go ahead, Chaz. KF5JHA, this is N5BB.
Hi, Bill. I think we had Gus that had a comment or something. Go ahead, Gus.
Yes, I did have a comment. Thank you, Chaz. Let's see. Yeah, the information they got in there from they were saying that the signal that they got was probably from earthbound equipment that fooled the SETI filters. I wonder why that's never happened before. You know, it seemed like that equipment that fooled the earthbound equipment that fooled the SETI filters has been here for a while. I wonder why we've never had that 5-hour signal problem that fooled the filters before. W5G US.
This is N5BB. Well, I can answer that, Gus. they're constantly changing these things and trying to come up with the right filters. And it's very difficult sometimes to figure out if a signal, I mean, we hear interference on the amateur radio bands all the time, and sometimes it's very difficult to tell if it's a radio transmitter on the other side of the world or it's something in your ham shack. I mean, it's hard to tell. By the way, the Parkes radio telescope, the one that we're talking about here, had a previous event several years previously, which is very famous, where they thought they found a signal. They were very excited, and it turned out to be a microwave oven there at the observatory area. Leakage from a microwave oven. So, and I can guarantee you that microwave ovens can leak a huge amount of power. There's over 1,000 watts typically, or easily 1,000 watts. And many microwave ovens, the seal is dirty, people slam the doors, the hinges are loose, and they radiate a lot of signal. I've got some personal experience with demonstrating spectrum analyzers and finding microwave ovens down the hallway and around the corner. So this is not the first such event. There's been a lot of them. This just particular one, they did more research on because it wasn't like the microwave oven one. And but they've got some possible sources. I'll point out that the frequency band where this thing was in is also similar to bands where aircraft have various equipment. And so there's a lot of possibilities about it being something from an aircraft. You also got to remember that there's lots of equipment in aircraft that's not designed to radiate energy. It's spurious emissions. And some of those spurious emissions, aren't cataloged. It's a PC on the aircraft or something, There's lots of possible things that can radiate, and if the aircraft or a spacecraft happens to be right in front of the antenna or off to the side lobe, it can easily get into it. The problem is also made a lot worse now with all the satellites going up, like all the low Earth orbiting communication satellites being put up by Spacex and some other companies. So there's lots of events that are going to be occurring that they have to count out. It's already affecting optical astronomers, and of course it'll affect radio astronomers. Anyway, does that help? N5BP.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I wonder with the new telescope going up now, how that's going to affect Dr. Sheikh's work. I think that should open up some other possibilities, like you had mentioned. The article mentioned about the rings of geostationary satellites around other planets. That would be a definite good tip-off. So I wonder the new telescope is going to really enhance that the being able to see things a lot farther. So that should be interesting for Dr. Sheikh's career also. All right, thanks, Bill. W5GUS.
Well, Gus, I think much more interesting is looking at spectrographic signatures of other planets for evidence of life. So if you discover, certain things in the atmosphere that indicate there might be life similar to Earth life, that's going to be really exciting and lead to a lot of focus on that planet. Okay, let's move ahead. Chaz, it's time for What's Up. Go ahead, Chaz. This is N5BB Skynet.
Thank you, Bill. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree's in astrophysics. I'm in charge of the astrophysics lab and the geology lab at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus. And we do call this segment of Skynet What's Up. Slide Master, thank you for being here. Slide number 2. February 1st is about halfway in between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox. This is one of the 4 cross-quarter days. Cross-quarter days are halfway between an equinox and a solstice. The other cross-quarter days, or around May the 1st, August 1st, and November the 1st. In some cultures and religions, these are considered religious holidays. Interesting. Slide number 3, please. The new phase of the moon was on January the 31st, a few days ago. So the current phase of the moon is a waxing crescent. On February the 8th, the moon is at first quarter. On February the 10th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth, at a distance of 404,896 kilometers. The full moon phase will be on February the 16th. On February the 23rd, the moon will be at third quarter phase, and on February the 26th, the moon will be at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 367,789 kilometers. Slide number 4, please. If you don't know what I'm talking about with slides, we have a video version of Skynet, and I'm actually monitoring it over here on YouTube. So you can go to get those things, the links to the video versions at w5fc.org. Yeah, so the website. Slide number 4. The conjunction of on February 27th will be with the moon and Mars, and Venus is close by, all in the low southeastern early morning sky. And again, that's toward the end of this month, isn't it? Slide number 5. On the very next morning, on February 28th, the moon will be in conjunction with Mercury, and Saturn is close by them in the southeastern morning sky. This will be more difficult because it'll be in strong twilight to see this. Slide number 6. On March the 2nd is the next conjunction in which Saturn and Mercury will be very close together in the early morning southeastern sky. They'll be about 3/4 of a degree apart from each other. Kind of interesting to see, but again, that'll be in strong twilight. Slide number 7, please. So last week, I talked about viewing the Winter Circle. Sirius is part of the Winter Circle, and this is the brightest star in the sky other than the sun. Tonight, I want to talk about observing in the evening sky and finding the second brightest star in the sky, Canopus. Canopus is not an easy-to-find star for us here in North Texas because it never gets more than 4.5 degrees above the horizon. And that is happening right now. At 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight, if you look very low in the southern sky, you could see it if you have a low, clear horizon. It's in the constellation of Carina. Carina is the constellation of the hull of a ship. Slide number 8. Canopus is an aging bright giant of spectral type A9 or F0. It is essentially a white when seen with the naked eye. Canopus is undergoing core helium burning, is currently in a so-called blue loop phase of its evolution, having already passed through its red giant branch after exhausting the hydrogen in its core. Canopus has 8 times the mass of the sun and has expanded to 71 times the sun's radius. That means that Canopus is about 350,000 times the volume of our own star, the sun. Canopus is radiating over 10,000 times the luminosity of the sun, and from this enlarged photosphere has an effective temperature around 7,000 degrees Kelvin. Canopus is an X-ray source, which is likely being emitted from its corona. Wow, now you know more about that second brightest star in the sky. I hope you can go out and see it. Okay, slide number 9, please. Now, did I mention in the past that there's a Super Bowl game being played in California in 8 days? The real Super Bowl is the Big Dipper in the northeastern sky. The Big Dipper is an asterism. An asterism is not a constellation of stars, but it's rather a group of stars that looks like something, and usually it's part of a constellation. For me, the Big Dipper looks like a cooking pan with a long handle, and in the evening sky, the Big Dipper is oriented with its bowl rising above its handle. It looks kind of funny to me, standing on its handle. The Big Dipper is part of the constellation of Ursa Major, the Big Bear. The mascot where I work, Brookhaven campus of the Dallas College, is a bear. I've mentioned that before, I know. Go Bears! Maybe in the future episodes of What's Up, I can talk about the big bear that has such a long tail, but right now, that's a tale too long to tell tonight. Tom, do you have a laugh track you can play right now? Slide number 10, please. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting, again, is going to be on February the 25th at 7:30 p.m. Tyler Nordgren from the National Park Service will be the featured speaker, talking about stars above, Earth below, night skies, and solar eclipses at America's parks. Task Club members will receive an email link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting. If you want to find out more information about meetings and future public observing sessions, go to texasastro.org. All right, slide number 11, please. Do you, any of you out there in Radioland, have any questions or need a fill on any of the information, or do you just have a general question on astronomy? We don't know everything here, but maybe we might know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Okay, I guess we're up to slide number 12. So as the moon waned at the end of January, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live, and until next week, we'll actually probably will be doing another segment of Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5JJ, sending it back to our net control. I think that's Bill.
You are so right, Chaz. This is N5BB, Skynet Net Control. Do we have any questions, comments, or additional check-ins? If so, please come now.
AG 5 p.m.
Okay, AG 5 p.m. Go ahead, Rich.
Just wanted to laugh at Chaz's joke. AG 5 p.m.
Oh. Okay. Do we have any other check-ins or comments? This is N5BB, Skynet Net Control. See, Rich, you'll encourage him if you laugh. Okay, now it's time for Brenda, WB5OZL, Space Exploration and Space History. Brenda has a really amazing announcement. Something big is going to happen in 9 years. Go ahead, Brenda. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Oh, thanks, Bill. This is WB5OZL. Well, first in news, NASA plans to retire the International Space Station by 2031 by crashing it into the Pacific Ocean. NASA intends to keep operating the ISS until the end of 2030, after which the ISS will be crashed into a remote part of the Pacific Ocean known as Point Nemo, according to newly published plans outlining its future. Launched in 2000, the Space Lab has orbited 227 nautical miles above Earth with more than 200 astronauts from 19 different countries enjoying stints aboard. Representing a continuous human presence in space, NASA said that commercially operated space platforms will replace the ISS as a venue for collaboration and scientific research. The private sector is technically and financially capable of developing and operating commercial low Earth orbit destinations with NASA's assistance. We look forward to sharing our lessons learned and operations experience with the private sector to help them develop safe, reliable, and low and cost-effective destinations in space, said Phil McAllister, Director of Commercial Space at NASA headquarters, in a statement. The report we have delivered to Congress describes in detail our comprehensive plan for ensuring a smooth transition to commercial destinations after retirement of the ISS in 2030. In the International Space Station Transition Report, NASA said the plan was for the ISS to fall to Earth in an area known as the South Pacific Ocean Uninhabited Area, also known as Point Nemo. The report said its budget estimate assumed that the deorbit would happen in January 2031. Named after the submarine sailor in Jules Verne's novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Point Nemo is the point in the ocean that is farthest from land and has been a watery grave for many other spacecraft. The area is approximately 3,000 miles off New Zealand's eastern coast and 2,000 miles north of Antarctica, and it's estimated that spacefaring nations such as the U.S., Russia, Japan, and European countries have sunk more than 263 pieces of space debris there since 1971. The report said the ISS could perform thrusting maneuvers that would ensure safe atmospheric re-entry. And my comment is, what could possibly go wrong? Next, a Spacex Falcon 9 launched a U.S. government spy satellite into orbit February 2nd from Vandenberg Space Force Base, California. The payload, designated NROL-87, was the National Reconnaissance Office's first space mission of the year and the first orbital launch of 2022 from the Western Range. The Falcon 9 lifted off from Space Launch Complex 4 East at 3:28 p.m. Eastern, headed south over the Pacific Ocean. After separation from the upper stage, the rocket's first stage landed back at Landing Zone 4 about 8 minutes after liftoff. This was the 105th booster successfully recovered by SpaceX. At the request of the NRO, SpaceX did not show any images of the rocket's upper stage on its way to a polar orbit and ended the webcast after the first stage landed. The NRO, in a news release, confirmed the payload was successfully deployed. For this mission, the Falcon 9 flew with a brand new first stage per government request. Michael Ellis, the SpaceX Director of National Security Space Launch, said the recovered booster would be refurbished for a future NRO mission. Colonel Chad Davis, Director of the NRO's Office of Space Launch, said NROL-87 was the agency's first mission launched by a Falcon 9 procured under the National Security Space Launch NSSL program run by the U.S. Space Force. And what is James Webb up to? It's starting aligning the telescope. This week began the process, which will take 3 months to align the telescope, and members of the Webb team checked the first starlight photographs that traveled through the entire telescope were detected by the instrument NIRCam. This milestone marks the first of many steps to capture images that at first aren't focused and use them to slowly tune the telescope. This is the beginning of the process, but so far the initial results match the expectations and simulations. Birthdays. Johnny Kim, February 5th, 1984. He is part of NASA Astronaut Group 22. They're in training for the 2024 Moon mission. Andrew Morgan, February 5th, 1976. Flew on Soyuz MS-13, Soyuz MS-15, Expedition 61-62. Daniel M. Tanny, February 1st, 1961, SCS-108, SCS-120-122, Expedition 16. Wally Funk, January 31st, 1939, flew on Blue Origin NS-16. Mary Cleve, February 5th, 1947, STS-61B and STS-30. And Joe Edwards, Jr., February 3rd, 1958, STS-89. This week in space history. On this day, that would be, well, February 4th, yesterday. In 1966, Soviet spacecraft Luna 9 sent the first photo from the lunar surface. It was intercepted by astronomers in England who released it to the press before the USSR did. Then, January 31st, 1958, the U.S. launches its first satellite. The U.S. joined the space race when Explorer 1 was launched into orbit, January 31st, 1958. The satellite lifted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida under the direction of legendary German-born scientist Werner von Braun. Explorer 1, which was 80 inches long and 6.25 inches in diameter, revolved around the Earth in a looping orbit that took it as close as 220 miles from Earth and as far away as 1,563 miles. Explorer orbited the Earth more than 58,000 times before burning up on March 31st, 1970. And February 1st, 2001, the NEAR Shoemaker was the first spacecraft specifically designed to study an asteroid. In this case, the asteroid was Eros, the closest asteroid to Earth. As NEAR descended onto Eros, it sent back dozens of high-resolution pictures. Even though NEAR was not designed to land on an asteroid, NASA decided to do so. It touched down and sent back data until its final signal on February 28, 2001. That's it. Back to Nat, WB50ZL.
Thank you, Brenda. This is N5BB with Skynet. Do we have any other late check-ins or any questions? If so, please come now. Nothing heard. Chaz, it's your time again for Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Take it away, KF5JHA. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, once again, this is Chaz, KF5JHA. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key, Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year, out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. In her honor, we have continued the tradition of a constellation per week and named the segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Orion the Hunter. Orion is a mighty hunter in ancient Greek mythology. There are various stories connected with him, but the best known is probably the one where he is a good hunter and he boasted that he had dominion over all living creatures. Hera, or Juno in Roman version of the story, sent a deadly scorpion to punish him for his arrogant pride, and the scorpion sting killed him. However, he was honored with a place in the heavens where we see him on a clear, crisp winter night like tonight. The scorpion is also placed in honor in a place in exactly opposite Orion in the sky as the constellation of Scorpius. With Orion rising as Scorpius sets and vice versa, the two will never fight again. Slide number 14 is the famous part of Skynet coming up. I like to have jokes that relate to the constellation of the week. So here we go. Orion's belt is a big waste of space. Only 3 stars. Orion ordered his belt off of Amazon. I bet you didn't know that. It wasn't to his liking, so he decided to leave a review, and it read, "This belt looks wonderful, but it doesn't fit well, and it can't be adjusted easily. I only give it 3 stars." Okay, I know. I did a similar joke just a moment ago. What did Orion receive after losing a bullfighting competition? Well, of course, a constellation prize. Who is the worst superhero? Oh, come on, you can do this out there. Who is the worst superhero? That would be Vacuum Man. He really sucks. I'm sorry, that was a bad one. What do you want? If you want to learn how to draw superheroes, start with Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. You've seen that movie, haven't you? He's just a stick figure. Yeah, that would be an easy one. And the final one that I'm going to tell right now is a supervillain said to me, "Why is my calendar wrapped in aluminum?" And I said, "I foiled your plans." Oh, Slide Master, better get me out of this. Slide number 15, please. Most of you pronounce it Betelgeuse. I pronounce it Betelgeuse. Alpha Orionis. The name Betelgeuse is from the Arabic meaning armpit of the central one, or armpit of the mighty one. Betelgeuse is magnitude 0.7 red supergiant star of spectral class M2 and is believed to be about 520 light years away. It is so large that if our sun were placed by Betelgeuse, it would swallow up the entire orbit. Oh, I should say if our solar system was placed beside Betelgeuse, it would be swallowed up the entire orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and may reach almost to the orbit of Jupiter. This is one of the largest stars known, and it may be the largest naked eye star. It is so large that even its distance, it's quite a ways away. It can be perceived as a tiny disk instead of a point source in the largest and best telescope, and it is even got sunspots. All right, we call them star spots if it's not on our sun. It's interesting that Orion's mortal enemy, Scorpius, has a quite similar star, Antares. It, too, is a red supergiant and is believed to only be slightly smaller than Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is an irregular variable star with a period of 5.7 years, and its maximum and minimum are vary from one pulsation to the next. It has been observed as bright as magnitude 0.2 and as faint as magnitude 1.2. It also grows and shrinks significantly as it pulsates. Just 2 years ago, in 2020, it had a deep minimum, and it even went dimmer than it had in a long time, 1.37 magnitude, which is the dimmest it's been in over 25 years. There was much conjecture about, some of them might even call it hype, that this could be a prelude to Betelgeuse's going supernova, because it could be on the verge of that. But remember that we had a task meeting a year ago on February 26, 2021. The featured speaker was Andrea Dupree, and she discussed that Betelgeuse's dimming was probably the result due to a dust cloud. And now it's back to its regular brightness. But every time I go out there and if it's clear and I can see it, I look for it just to see if it's brighter or dimmer than normal. Slide number 16, please. Rigel, Beta Orionis. The name Rigel comes from an old Arabic phrase that translates left leg of the giant. Rigel is the type B8 blue-white supergiant and is estimated to be about 900 light years away. Magnitude 0.14. It is the 7th brightest star in the sky. Rigel is a double star. The small bluish companion star is 6.7th magnitude. Burnham's Celestial Handbook notes that it can be seen in a good 6-inch telescope and may even be glimpsed in a 3-inch telescope under ideal conditions. Since it was first measured in 1831, no change in position has been detected between Rigel and its companions. Now I'm going to talk about 3 stars in Orion's belt: Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Alnitak, Zeta Orionis, named Alnitak, means girdle, which is appropriate since Alnitak is the easternmost star of the three stars that form Orion's belt, is a blue-white star, spectral class straddling the border between O and B, specifically O9 or a B0. It is a magnitude 1.79 star and is estimated to be about 1,600 light years away. It is a triple star system. Mintaka is the westernmost of the three stars in Orion's belt and is a widely separated double star system that is easily split. In fact, I used this on a usual observing nights with the astronomy students at Brookhaven College. I hope that we can do this soon. Mintaka's brighter companion is actually an eclipsing binary star itself. And this is Chaz, KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 17, please. M42 has been... Much has been written and said about M42, the Great Orion Nebula. It is one of the finest showpiece objects in all of the sky. It was the first deep sky object that I tried to photograph years ago. Even though M42 is a bright emission nebula, it's one of the dark nebula observing club list because it has an intervening portion of dark nebula on the northeastern portion of M42 called the Fish's Mouth. I've also seen this structure referred to as the Dark Bay. Just beyond the deepest part of the Dark Bay lies our next object, the Trapezium star group. Slide number 18, please. The Trapezium is known as Theta 1 Orionis, is a multiple star system at the heart of the Great Orion Nebula. It is the ionizing ultraviolet radiation of these stars that causes the gas in the nebula to glow through fluorescence. You know, the same thing that happens with fluorescent tubes. The four brightest stars on Trapezium are fairly easy to see in just about any decent quality telescope. The four brightest stars are referred to as A, B, C, and D. These four ordered by right ascension and not by magnitude. The brightest star in the group, star C, is magnitude 5.4. The faintest of the group is B, which is 8th magnitude. There are more stars than these, however. Star E was discovered in 1826 by Struve. It is the 11th magnitude. Star F is also 11th magnitude, found by John Herschel in 1830. G was discovered in 1888 by A.G. Clark with his 36-inch refractor at Lick Observatory. It is a very faint, dim 16th magnitude. Finally, star H was discovered later the same year by Edward Emerson Barnard. H is actually a double star with two components separated by 1.3 arc seconds, both also being about 16th magnitude. G and H require a very large aperture telescope to be seen. Slide number 19, please. NGC 1981 is an open cluster just above Orion's sword. It's 1 degree north of the Great Orion Nebula, M42. It is a loose, coarse cluster consisting of about 50 stars, with 6 of the stars being much brighter than the rest, in 2 curving rows of 3 stars each, with the eastern row being the brighter of the 2. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 20, please. There are many more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Orion the Hunter. I've skipped several interesting stars and objects, like the Horsehead Nebula, the Flame Nebula, the Running Man Nebula, and many more. But time limits what I can do here on Skynet, so I'm just giving you a sampling of a few of those objects. The Astronomical League has over 70 different observing programs, most of which are around 100 objects. If you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide number 21, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Orion the Hunter. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for their research words on the deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal for every week. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now, next time, I'll take a look at the constellation Lepus, the hare. We'll hop on that one. And this is KF5, JHA, sending it back to our net control. Bill, it's all yours. N5BB73, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Chad. This is N5BB with Skynet. I'm going to jump now to Brenda, recent astronomical discoveries. Brenda, do you have anything? WB5OZL, N5BB.
Yes, this is WB50ZL. And the title here is Puffy Planets Lose Atmospheres and Become Super-Earths. Astronomers have identified two different cases of mini-Neptune planets that are losing their puffy atmospheres and likely transforming into super-Earths. Radiation from the planet stars is stripping away their atmospheres, driving hot gas to escape like steam from a pot of boiling water. Most astronomers suspected that young, small mini-Neptunes must have evaporated atmospheres, says Michael Chang, lead author of both studies and a graduate student at Caltech. But nobody ever caught one in the process of doing so until now. The findings are published in two separate papers in the Astronomical journal. One is based on data from the W.M. Keck Observatory in Hawaii, and the other paper involves observations from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Together, the studies help paint a picture of how erotic worlds like these form and evolve. Mini-Neptunes are a class of exoplanets, which are planets that orbit stars outside the solar system. These worlds, which are smaller, denser versions of the planet Neptune, consist of large and rocky cores surrounded by thick blankets of gas. In the new studies, a team of astronomers led by Caltech used Keck Observatory's near-infrared spectrograph to study one of two mini-Neptune planets in the star system called TOI 560, located 130 light-years away, and they used Hubble to look at two mini-Neptunes orbiting HD 63433, located 73 light-years away. The results show that atmospheric gas is escaping from the innermost mini-Neptune in TOI 560, called TOI 560.01, and from the outermost mini-Neptune in HD 63433, called HD 63433C. Furthermore, Keck Observatory data surprisingly showed the gas around TOI 560.01 was escaping predominantly towards the star. This was unexpected, as most models predict that the gas should flow away from the star. We still have a lot to learn about how these outflows work in practice. Since the first exoplanets orbiting sun-like stars were discovered in the mid-90s, thousands of others have been found. Many of these orbit close to their stars, and the smaller rocky ones generally fall into two groups, mini-Neptunes and super-Earths. The super-Earths are as large as 1.6 times the size of Earth, and occasionally as large as 1.75 times, while the mini-Neptunes are between 2 and 4 times the size of Earth. Few planets with sizes between these two planet types have been detected. One possible explanation for this gap is that mini-Neptunes are transforming into super-Earths. The mini-Neptunes are theorized to be cocooned by primordial atmospheres made of hydrogen and helium. The hydrogen and helium are left over from the formation of the central star, which is born out of clouds of gas. If a mini-Neptune is small enough and close enough to its star, stellar X-rays and ultraviolet radiation can strip away its primordial atmosphere over a period of hundreds of millions of years, scientists theorize. This would then leave the rocky super-Earth with a substantially smaller radius, which could, in theory, still retain a relatively thin atmosphere similar to that surrounding our own planet. Okay, this is a rather long article, so I'm going to quit there since it's already 10:30. This is in ScienceDaily.com if you want to go read the whole article. Back to net. This is WB50ZL.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Okay, I think we're going to skip everything else since it's so late. Do we have any other late check-ins, comments, or questions before I close the net? This is N5BB, 73 round. Okay, tonight on Skynet we had 27 check-ins participating. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls or send an email to nets@w5sc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net, astronomy in general, on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5sc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is N5BB Bill, closing a net at 10:32 p.m. Central Time. Returning a repeater to normal amateur radio use. 73, everybody. Enjoy the evening discovering the universe. Skynet is closed, and I did not watch the movie because I started watching it, and I wasn't very interested, so I just quit, and I'm tired. So I'm leaving. Good night. I'll leave you guys to Afterglow. This is N5BB 73.
All right, we'll be back for Beyond the Sky 2018, the Afterglow Movie Net. Give it about 5 minutes or so, and we'll get started. This is KE 5I6.
Hey, Tom, don't mean to complain too much, but that strong hum is still in your audio. So, it hasn't gone away. Hope you're feeling better, and I'm going to say 73 tonight and not stick around. K5ICX N5BB.
is Afterglow Movie Net off for this week, K0FER.
No, it'll be going. We're just out taking a 5-minute break and powdering our noses, so it should be back, well, in the next minute or so.
Gotcha. Sorry. Thought you said you retired. Thanks for doing this. As always, K0FER.
Yeah, thanks. We'll, I guess, get started now. This is KE5ICX, Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-ray. My name is Tom. I will be, for as long as I can, be net control. Tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. Tonight's movie is an indie production, low budget, but not too bad. It's called Beyond the Sky. It's a 2018 American science fiction film written and directed by Sofia in his directorial debut. With a number of people we've never heard of before. It's acquired by RLJE Films in 2018 and was released on September 21st, 2018. The film follows a documentary filmmaker. Now, this is fictional, of course. The film follows a documentary filmmaker and his crew as they seek to expose the lies of alien abductees and their encounter with a young woman whose dark secret leads them to uncover the disturbing truth. Believe it or not, that's all Wikipedia says about it. I'll probably dig up some more information, but it was 90 minutes long, thereabouts. Not too bad of a film. All right, let's go ahead and take check-ins if you'd like to join us this evening. This is the way the game is played first, and then I'll take check-ins. Yes, we'll go through 3 rounds. First round has to do with plot. You let us know what you think about the plot. Second round is acting. Third round is technical, anything you want to talk about the movie or any pickups, anything that you missed on the first 2 rounds you want to discuss. And that's it. There may be a 4th round, but doubtful. Usually we get to about midnight for the 3rd round. All depends on the movie and how many people check in. So go ahead and take check-ins at this point. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come to the call sign phonetically. Your name and did you see Beyond the Sky from 2018? By the way, you don't necessarily have to have seen the film. We'll find something for you to talk about. So please come now.
Kilo 0 Foxtrot Echo Romeo, Chris, and I did see the movie.
WB50ZL, Brendan DeSoto, I did see the movie.
Okay, we'll acknowledge those 2. We've got K0FER, that's Chris. He did see the movie. WB50ZL, Miss Brenda, she did see the movie. Anyone else? And I know that there are some stragglers that come in later on, so don't worry, there'll be others. But I'll take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see Beyond the Sky from 2018?
Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf, name is Cruz, and Arlington, Nassau.
picked up another. We've got KI5KWG. That's Bruce over in Arlington. Yes, he saw the movie. By the way, when we come to call on you, you may want to speak up a little louder. The repeater is a little noisy tonight, so I can hear you, but just barely. On any other night, I'd say you're fine, but not tonight. So if you could bring it up a little, that'll be fine. Any additional check-ins, please come now with your call sign, your name, and what you see beyond the sky for 2018. I'll go over to Echolink. Anyone on Echolink want to join us? Please come now. Okay, not too bad. We'll go ahead and start with those folks. There's traffic net at 10:30, so sometimes those folks come on over here, so we'll see how it goes. We'll start with Chris, K0FER. Chris, you said you saw the movie. What'd you think about the plot for Beyond the Sky from 2018?
Yeah, so despite a spurious love story with forced chemistry, a journalist with questionable ethics and spurious interview techniques, and a third-wheel cameraman who was a budget Dave role, it wasn't that bad, at least not in comparison to some of the movies that we watched. Now, taking the manufactured memory theory of alien abductions was kind of a unique movie premise for me. Bill as the bad guy was pretty dang obvious, and but I thought they really wasted a dramatic opportunity with his death. They could have done a whole, like, what, the fake things that I've been thinking on were real all along, and, you know, crisis of faith, redemption arc, whatever. They could have done some interesting things where the skeptic and the faker both became true believers, former entities, now united by their common experience. She could kind of show how that despite our differences, we're not so far apart, but they didn't do that. They just gave him a heart attack. The handycam footage at the beginning was a bit Blair Witch Project, which still has the highest budget to box office ratio of any Hollywood film. But obviously they blew all their budget on the CG in the last, I think 10 minutes, which I also understand the director who does a lot of CG stuff did most of the rough work for that. Overall, I enjoyed it. It's not the greatest film ever, but I have definitely seen worse, and don't regret spending almost 2 hours of my day watching the film. K0FER.
All right, thank you, Chris. By the way, not to be a critic, because I guess I have a hum on my signal here, but are you on a charger or something? Because we're getting kind of this weird rumbling sound like you're being abducted by aliens.
I'm not on a charger, but let me see what I can do. Because I'm hearing a hum on your end as well, K0FER. Is this any better?
It's a little better. It's still there. If whatever you did with the audio or whatever you changed there, stick with that. It's still in the background, I guess, just like my hum is. But that's me. So if I ever get some time, I'm go and hunt it down. Interesting health issues, so I haven't had a chance to hunt it down over the last couple of weeks. But that's a lot better, Chris. All right, next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, your thoughts on the plot on this movie this evening?
This is WB50ZL. Well, I actually rather enjoyed the film. It wasn't bad. The characters were engaging, and you know, the thing moved along pretty well. The dialogue was okay. I thought the plot was a little bit confusing as you tried to figure out what was going on, and it kind of jumped around, or it became ridiculous in a few spots, but that's okay. Yeah, I think my biggest complaint is that you're just, you know, the ground shifts too much. You can't really tell what's going on. But they really didn't settle the issue of what's this alien abduction thing all about. We're still guessing. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Oh my, we may be zipping through this one pretty quick. Let's see here. Next up is Bruce, KI5KWG. Bruce, what'd you think of the plot?
Yeah, well, it was a step up from last week's attack of the killer tornadoes, but maybe several steps up. But I kind of agree with the last two that I think the way I put it is it was messy. It had a lot of potential, and they really left the ending to be kind of ugly and far too open. Obviously, I thought a writer failure. The love story just came out of the blue, just didn't seem to have been developed, and suddenly that was thrown at us, and a little mention of these problems and there and other places as well. So, like I think both of the others have already said, it wasn't a bad movie, but I think my disappointment was because of the potential for the story, and then it was like writers just went, that's good enough, and it wasn't.
Okay, Bruce, were you done?
Yeah, affirmative, and I'm sorry, KI5WG, and the name is Bruce, and that was the end of my comments.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. You never know, because without a closing call, sometimes people's radios peter out in mid-sentence or at the end of a sentence, and we're all wondering, is he still there or not? So thanks very much for IDing at the end. Before I go ahead and give my comments on this first round, see if there's any additional check-ins. Anybody like to join us for the Afterglow Movie Net? Tonight being Beyond the Sky from 2018. You don't necessarily have to have seen the film. We're talking about alien abduction stuff, I guess. And bad movie making, or good movie making, depending on how you look at it. So if you'd like to join us, please come down. Okay, well, it's going to be one of those evenings, I guess. Well, my thoughts on the movie, I enjoyed it at the very beginning. When you have a mystery, it's kind of interesting. I agree. I thought kind of the guy going in and doing the interviews was a bit over the top, but he had a reason to be, I guess, with the flashbacks with Dad. I like the idea of the mystery, just like when we did the X-Files, where something happens, there's weird technology, there's things, people are hiding things, all of that really makes for good kind of storytelling. But the problem with something like this is, how do you end the thing? And what is going to be the payoff? Because when you paint yourself into a corner, particularly with science fiction, there's always a really steep cliff, as we found out for one of our antagonistic characters. It kind of was a metaphor for the director and the writer of this particular movie, that you go off the cliff when you finally do the reveal, literally. I thought the idea of the strange rock thing that would cause everybody to kind of like peter out, that was really a kind of a stroke of genius. I liked it a lot, and then it didn't really go anywhere after that. It was used on her. How did she end up with it? She just take it with her, or when the first several times she was abducted? I don't know. And why 7 years? What was that all about? Kind of somewhat confused by that, as it wasn't really explained or implied. I guess because she was getting older, and a 7-year alien checkup is normal, I guess. Who knows? Or Ponfar, who knows? But in any case, I thought that was a bit odd. I like the idea of the spiritual aspects with the Chaco Canyon thing. I thought that was kind of cool. And the Anasazi Indians, although they're not named Anasazi in the movie, this has been brought about through the Eric von Däniken stuff in the past, but this in this case was a little more honest in its approach. The buildings, or the pueblo that they showed, why was it the way it was built? Well, that's been determined by archaeologists that actually those were built up and covered over, so it was like apartments. People lived very close together, near one another, families together in what really amounted to apartment complexes, essentially. So that unusual feature, as they were trying to bring out, wasn't. Of course, they also used the whole spacecraft thing, and the fact that it matches all the compartments or the apartments when it lands, a la, what was that, StarQuest? That show. The one with the, Stargate. Stargate was what I'm thinking of, where they conveniently could land on top of the pyramid. They kind of had this Scooby-Doo element to it, where we finally find out the reveal towards the end that it's the crazy guy who's Black Ops or whatever, and the fact that he had, military-grade LSD or some sort of mind-altering drugs, and that kept his little enterprise going and his wealth going, I guess, through it all. So there's a little bit of the, Roswell money-making ventures that go with it, which I thought was kind of interesting, I guess. Sort of a commentary on that, which further bolstered our protagonist's interviewer's belief that this is all just one big fake thing. So, yeah, I can see that as being somewhat of a skeptical thing. I think they kind of played it a little too heavy, that he had an axe to grind, which he sort of did, but even still, it was very rude. Part of doing a documentary type film, or any film where you're trying to work with people, and I've done some of this too, is you don't become the foil, you don't become the interrogator. What you want to do is you want to gain the confidence of the people you're talking to. You want to look genuinely interested. You want to passively do the interview until they stop talking, and then you start bringing in other points. You reiterate other points that were brought in prior to, but you do it in a friendly way, and this guy wasn't doing anything like that. Chris was being kind of an ass when you get down to it, and so he makes a terrible documentary interviewer, causing the guy to go off the deep end, which, I mean, was a part of the story, but what a surprise, The guy acts like a jerk. He's asked to leave. Well, you were being a jerk. And so even being allowed in other locations about it and giving his story about, Mom got left not because of the flying saucers, but because of my father, that's fine. But if you're still doing a documentary and you're paying people to do the job, you've kind of got to quit being such a jerk. some of the other things that were kind of interesting about it that I liked was the fact that I think there was some real UFOologists in this thing, that they actually did go in and act like they were doing a documentary, or at least they hooked some of these people that were UFOologists in and talked to them a little bit. I thought that was kind of okay. That helped lend a more authenticity to the film. So that made for a little better beginning, and of course with the mysteries that went along with it, bolstered sort of this mysterious thing going on. So I do like the idea of the documentary as long as it's done in an appropriate manner, which it wasn't. But it could have if they had worked through it. Overall, when you look at the way it developed, I guess because they were painted into a corner, you're looking at the finality of the thing, and it turns out, oh, well, it's all fake, and it was all made up Scooby-Doo style, and, they wanted to make tons of money or sell the property that Grandma lived at or whatever. It definitely had that Scooby-Doo vibe to it, and then all of a sudden we get the real spacecraft coming in and swooping in, and yeah, it really was real, and we get an extra extended scenes going on about that, which ran a little long, I thought. I thought that the effects, as far as storytelling, helped it some. I thought that was kind of interesting how they did it, although that's a pretty darn big spaceship with nothing in it. But I'll talk about special effects on another round. Okay, those are my comments. Anyone else want to join us this evening? Please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see the movie Beyond the Sky? Take a check-in now. Okay, well, I guess it's going to be a fast one. Next up is characterization. What you think about characterization in the film? So we'll start with Chris, K0FER. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. Switched radios and antennas, so hopefully this is better. But the characters, I think the actors did as good as they could be expected with the material that they were given. We've already touched on the issues with how the villain is a little bit of a caricature, and the love story is a little forced. He's a terrible journalist. Documentarian. But I think that they made their performances believable with a rather unbelievable plotline. I think the break-in that they commit in order to steal the artifact, alien artifact, would completely undermine anything that they did for the documentary. And if they ever hope to make money off a documentary, they would have to hide that, which I don't think that they would be able to do. They'd be sued out the wazoo. But all in all, I think the actors did a fine job. K0FER, back to that.
All right, thank you, Chris. Next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Your thoughts on characterization?
WB50ZL. I thought the characterization was pretty good. I just think the people were fairly interesting. And the love story was a little bit, implausible, but that's okay. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to decide whether these people were believable in general. For someone to say, okay, I'm going to make a documentary about how alien abductions are bogus. That's really hard to do. How do you prove it's not real? If you could prove it was real, that would be a lot more interesting. But I wonder what kind of expectations he had for that. How do you? I really was curious as to why he set out to do this, and how he hoped to portray these people to show that it was not real at all. And diverting a little bit, I may be mistaken, but I know Roswell is famous for the alien crash. I don't know that it's famous for abductions. I'm not sure this is a hot spot for alien abductions. I may be wrong. I went to Roswell once in 1997. It was the 50th anniversary of the crash. It was a big street festival. It was tons of fun. I didn't see anything there to convince me about aliens, but it was still lots of fun. And everything in Roswell has an alien on it. The barbershop, the pancake house. They capitalize on this alien thing, and they're making money off of it. So I guess they still have these yearly festivals. It's around the 4th of July. So this is a big one in 97 because it was the anniversary. But if you ever get a chance to go, it's tons of fun. Back to net, WB5OZL.
Oh, I didn't know you went to all these things. Well, I want to believe, and so do you, so it makes perfect sense to me. That's why you picked this film, Martha, because you felt a kinship with the abductees. Okay. Next up, Bruce, I don't know if I got your call right. I got Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf. At any rate, correct me if I got that terribly wrong, but go ahead. What are your thoughts on characterization?
Yes, you've got the call sign correct. It is KI5AWG. And the name is Cruz. That would be a C. REWS. And characterization, I think most of them did pretty well. The young lady probably just about topped it, and I thought Sue Wallace, who I've liked since I first think I saw her in Cujo, she really stood out. I thought she did very, very well. I wish she had a bigger part than she did. And but I also kind of think they had her on as kind of a name and kind of the association with sci-fi. I think it was kind of more like a little fun for that. And I think special mention would go to the cameraman. What was his name? Brent, I think. And it's like in almost every scene, but almost as background to carry the documentary theme with it. But I thought he did a very, very good job as well. And you were talking about characterizations, and I really had more in mind just the acting of the individual characters, and I think those are the ones that stood out for me. And this is KI5KWG, and back to you, Ned.
All right, thank you, Drew, and I finally got your name right this time. So, just so intent on getting the call sign right that when it came back, I messed up on your name. So, go figure, right? Best laid plans. Let's see, my thoughts. I'll talk about the acting. I thought it was okay. I didn't see anything really wrong with it. I saw some of the motivation seemed a little bit odd, but I missed that in the previous round. So I was okay with that. Yeah, some of the incidental characters I thought maybe deserved a little more airtime. The videographer guy, he was kind of interesting in that he brought a little bit of color to the thing. I have a videographer in my work that I do, and he's crazy. I mean, he's nuts. So it kind of makes sense that this guy would be pretty much, mentally stratospheric and somewhat, what would somewhat not skeptical, the opposite of that, whatever it would be, somewhat suggested that all this stuff could indeed happen. So, I don't know, you can draw some lines to it. One thing that was interesting, and I found some notes in here too, Travis Walton was in this thing as a character, although he played himself. He was actually the guy that was supposedly an abductee who was, his story was told in Fire in the Sky from 1993. Now, I read up on that movie, and I think we did review it at one time, and the fact that Hollywood vastly embellished that whole story along the way, so I don't know. Brenda makes a good point, too, about the fact that they have abductees, and Roswell, I think the conference was there. I think these people came from elsewhere. The gal, the person that was abducted every 7 years or whatever, I think she just happened to live in the area, but the others came in for the conference. So, who is it, the guy who was busy doing the money-making thing, he actually, I think, turned it into an abduction thing because of his hallucinogenic drugs and all that. So he turned it into a money-making affair, Chris. So I guess in the end, it kind of held together okay. I like the peyote scene or whatever with the Indians, the Pueblo Indians, whoever they were. That's kind of a classic thing. You see that in just about everything. But also came the sub-story about this and that family and what that actually means. I think it was kind of slightly ineptly done. I thought the ending was somewhat, how can I describe it, predictable after the fact that indeed the birthday party, it was 7 years and 9 months after the previous scene. So you kind of go, yeah, I can do the math, and that's the kid's birthday, so this is after the fact. But I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. I thought the acting was sufficient. I think some of the script elements to it and the motivations weren't quite in line, although I still found it very entertaining. I thought it was quite fun watching the whole thing and how it all developed. The love affair was slightly forced in all of this, but I guess when you're all in danger and you have a common goal and you find out you've got something similar to experience, then suddenly the love affair comes out. So it wasn't bad. Aliens, on the other hand, at the end, what was their motivation? They were actually hurting them. They got pushed around, so they pushed back and hard. Well, what's that mean? They're supposed to be interstellar, intergalactic, whatever, and they act like children? Oh. Of course, they don't come out and in the middle of the, White House lawn like they did in Day the Earth Stood Still and proclaim to the world. So you got to wonder about those aliens. What is it they really want to do and why, and how come they keep coming in and probing everybody? You think they get enough evidence and then say, okay, we've got enough evidence, let's move on to the next planet or something, but they never do. So, who's to say? At any rate, that was kind of my thoughts on the film. Does anybody else want to check in? Please come with your call sign.
November 5, India, Mike Sierra.
N5 IMS, JJ, welcome. You got any comments about the movie for this evening? Go ahead if you do.
Well, let me begin by answering your normal questions. No, I did not see the movie. And I've seen several of the alien abduction movies and stuff. And so I can just imagine in my head just what would make it better. I personally think if they would have had a train in there, it would have been better. Plus, if they would have had a TWA Lockheed Constellation, that would have made it much better. And that's kind of my suggestions after the fact that the director should have thought of and put in there and would have made the film much better. Send 5 IMS back to net.
JJ, I think you told me that just to make me happy. Yeah, the Connie's my favorite airplane. About 1049 and the L49 are both wonderful aircraft. So yeah, and I've got several drawings and pictures on the walls of that aircraft and a couple models sitting around. So yep, recognize it. TWA, of course. Yeah, well, I don't know how to describe this outside of the fact that, you know, the common storylines that you usually get in these things is that the government is hiding something or somebody's hiding something about what's really going on and that really we are being abducted by aliens or something and the government's in on it and all the silly conspiracy stories that go along with it. Well, let's put it this way. The government is very bad at keeping secrets. They always are, especially when something like this big would be a secret. And the fact that they can't come up with any more evidence. I mean, this movie had more evidence of something going on than in any other time. I remember there was, you know, they had the little ear forget-me-not, or forget-it-all stone thing. And they said that it was made out of materials that were not found. I remember, gosh, one of these things that they were talking about, materials, and they went and had it analyzed, and it was the same sort of story. Nobody knows what this is made out of. They analyzed it, and they couldn't figure out what it was, and then somebody actually did analyze the unanalyzable material in a real lab somewhere, and it turns out it was just standard traditional materials. So I'm sure that this little story element was added in from that little factoid that occurred sometime in the past. I don't know when, but it was in one of the UFO type conspiracy theory videos or whatever that they do. So I don't know. I would think that aliens would be a little more forward in their whole treatment of everything, but that's just me. All right, well, we'll do one more round and then we'll call it quits this evening. Let's go to K0FER, Chris. And Chris, what do you got for us on anything you want to talk about on the movie or anything about this topic? Or any other movies that may be related to this compare and contrast type stuff. So K0FER, go ahead.
So something that's always intrigued me, you made your point about how Roswell it seems to be like the only place where we can have alien sightings, and then there's the abductions, things like that. I wonder if Russia has a similar thing in their popular culture. I mean, there's a lot of land out there, and just statistically, if you're looking at land mass, I think it's more likely that there was a alien landing somewhere in Russia or the former USSR than there is in our land mass. Always been curious about that. The Roswell thing, I used to live in New Mexico for the first 5 years of my life, and I talked with my dad about it, and he never went to any of the alien things, but he did stop in Roswell on his way to Carlsbad Caverns once, and he said, yeah, everything is alien related, and it's a little surreal. I kind of think it might be a little bit of a hoot to live there. Yeah. I'm glad that this movie was chosen for the MovieNet. I definitely seen worse selections. And, yeah, overall I was rather entertained. KZRFER back doing that.
All right, thank you, Chris. And I looked it up. There's a thing called the Marfa lights, known as the Marfa ghost lights. That is a thing in Marfa, Texas. They gained some fame as ghost UFOs, the will-o'-the-wisp, scientific research that suggests most, if not all, are atmospheric reflections of automobile headlights and campfires. Oh, well, it doesn't explain the one from 1880-something, but at any rate, people whose imaginations run wild after a while. So, at any rate, okay, Brenda, WB50ZL, your comments on anything you want to make about this film. Go ahead.
This is WB50ZL. Well, we tried to see the Marfa lights once and it rained, so we didn't. And they do predate, sightings of them do predate automobiles. It's probably small gas, is my best guess. We actually went to Roswell twice, and it's just like it was in the movie. People sitting around and UFO experts talking to them. You know, it was like a symposium. So that was pretty accurate. The second year we went, the most exciting thing is I got to meet John DeLancey, who's one of my favorite Star Trek actors. So that was a high point. Nothing I saw out there convinced me of UFOs. They have this museum where they present the evidence, which I didn't seem very evidential to me, but there are a lot of people out there really believe in it, and to me the jury's still out on it. I accept that maybe something happened. I just, I'm not ready to be a true believer until I see some evidence, so we're still waiting on that. I love abduction stories. To me, they're just almost like a Far Side cartoon. UFOs pulling cows up into the bottom of them. They're not very serious, and the aliens are presented so one-dimensionally, just sort of mindless monsters, soulless monsters, and nobody knows why they're doing this or what's going on. I would like to see a movie where they develop the personalities of the aliens a little more. I just think, sure, we're just guessing at this point. I just think it'd be a little more interesting than just the creepy enemy that we don't understand and can't really relate to. Let's see, what else? I'd say the movie is pretty good, but I don't want to see it again. It's okay. But, I think they tried. And all these low-budget things, low budget generally just seems to mean that they didn't seem to put much effort into it, and so kind of leaves you, hungry an hour and a half later. All right, back to net, WB50ZL.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Next up is Drew, KI5KWG. Your final comments, anything you want to say about the film or the topic, or compare and contrast with any other film from KE5ICX?
Yeah, KI5KWG. I was smiling while you were talking about that untestable material that couldn't be determined its makeup. And I actually was kind of paying attention as that story was developing. I believe it was the University of New Mexico. I know it was a piece of metal that was found at the crash site in Roswell. And it was aluminum, and they were saying it was a certain type of aluminum that this on Earth, couldn't make it on Earth, etc. Well, they tested it, and it was definitely Earth-based. In fact, very specifically, it was beer cans. This happened to be aluminum used in beer cans. And I thought of all of the alien movies where they're invading Earth and usually coming for our water, and they were close, but not quite right. The aliens are coming here for our beer. And that's my last comment. That's all I've got. I've enjoyed this, though. And I am KI5KWG, Bruce, and back to you next.
You made me laugh, Drew, and I think you're right. That's exactly what it was. I was just going, vamping and trying to remember the story, but I couldn't remember the circumstance. But yeah, I think it was the Roswell crash and the mysterious materials, and it turned out to be nothing at all, except beer cans. I like that. The aliens came for our beer. Okay, JJ, N5IMS, I know you didn't see the film. Did you see Fire in the Sky? What's your favorite alien abduction film, JJ?
Well, I don't necessarily have a favorite. I enjoy watching several of them, but I don't really invest a great deal of mental effort in it. I just enjoy what's coming at me and, kind of leave it at that. Don't necessarily retain a whole lot about it, but they're fun to watch. Mostly watching for mistakes that they make here or there, or the plot holes or what have you. But they're still, regardless, they're fun. Now, as far as we do have cinematic, let me reset. We do have cinematic evidence, not that that's proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but still, cinematic evidence that we do have alien activity in Russia. There was a major scene in Spies Like Us where they came in there dressed up as aliens to get into the area where the Russian missile was, and so it, just proved that they do have alien activity. And one of the comments that they make, that it was, obviously, everybody has this, so you just dress up like it, and, they'll, you don't have to have all the details right. Their mind will fill in what you're missing, and, so they went in there, and they managed to take over the missile by doing so. So, obviously, from that, not that that's real proof, but from that, we do have evidence that, there is alien abductions in Russia as well. It's N5IMS, back to net.
Thank you, JJ. Well, you bring up a couple points, and I'll just mention this, and I mentioned it last night when we were watching the movie in the chat. So, and by the way, that's a thing. We go and we'll, at 8 o'clock on Friday evenings, we'll start the movie at 8 o'clock and chat over on the Facebook Afterglow Movie Gang, I guess it is, that people involved, and we'll talk about the film as it goes along. So it kind of gives us some of the ideas about what we're going to be doing the following evening, on Saturday evening. But it's kind of fun watching the movie together and say, did you see that? That's nuts, which happens quite frequently. But one of the things I thought was interesting is that what these alien abduction things do have something all in common, and that is the Greys. These are these hairless beings with big eyes and weird heads and weird, strange, tentacled hands. And I think even one of the flying saucer things is, how is it possible that all these people see the same things? And it must be in a common experience because of aliens. Echo, 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 echo. And I guess they've done some research and said that really what happens is the brain is in kind of a somnambulistic state, and it wakes up from whatever happens, whatever they remember that sort of thing. I don't know. I never had that experience, and maybe it's a government conspiracy to explain away all the alien abductions. I don't know, but it certainly makes sense to me because, to me, I've had many different dreams of different types that everybody else has had the same dreams. You know, come on, think about it. What's one of the favorite ones? Well, one is always being naked. That's always a good one. Another one is that you have a test and you haven't studied for it, you're not ready, and you have to get that done, right? One of my favorites is that I never get to leave where I'm at. I'm on a trip and I never get to leave. I go to the hotel, I wait for the bus, I don't get on the bus leaves without me. I try and get a rent-a-car, I get in the car conks out. I don't know what that means, but, you know, it's a part of the common dreams. Maybe the aliens told me all this stuff, and resistance is futile. Leaving where you are is a bad idea. Maybe it's a metaphor for going into space. That being stuck at the hotel and the bus getting away means that I'm not allowed to go into space. That's probably what it means. So it is aliens. I don't want to say it's aliens, but it's aliens. All right, with that, I'll ask anybody got... Oh, I was going to mention one other thing, too, about the special effects of the film. There's a scene in there, and I was going to mention on the first round, but it was special effects. There's a scene in there where you see the inside of the spaceship. It's big, gigantic, and it looks like a cave. If you look carefully, it really is a cave. The whole thing, I don't know where they filmed it, whether it was in... There's 5 different states that they filmed in, and I don't remember if they showed a cave or not. But when you look through the credits or watch the credits, you'll see there's a lot of 3D digitizing that's listed. I think that has to do with adding all the little readouts and the light show and everything that goes into it. And it was done by, I believe, a Japanese firm or group or something. So I think they just subletted all that out for those effects, maybe buying the film. They had a cash inflow or something in order to make it more convincing. But all of that was added in as, and I think it was actual real photography or video or whatever, and they just added all the overlays to give it sort of that otherworldly effect. So there you have it. And I have to say that with low-budget films, the special effects have gotten much better. As we've seen, so I'm okay with that. And you see that, golly, we watch movies and television, Mandalorian, and Boba Fett, Disney stuff. That's Star Wars. They do as good or better job than what the Star Wars movies do every week. So you got to give them credit. The digital effects and 9 million people to make those effects happen can be quite convincing, even in a low-budget film. All right, I've said my piece. Anyone have anything, any final comments or final check-ins? Please come with your call. All right, I was checking next week's active link to see if it still works, and it kind of does, but I'm going to have to check it. There's a movie called Unknown Island, yes, dinosaurs, from 1948. It's actually a color film, which is extremely rare. I'm having some trouble actually loading it. I'll let you know if that's the one that works or not. If it turns out that that's a failure, I'll substitute something in, probably Journey to the Future from 2021 last year. We'll see. If you've got any ideas for a film or something you'd like to talk about that you think is quite good, let me know. Send an email to me at Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX@yahoo.com, and let me know. Also, if you want a list of the upcoming movies, you can send an email to me at the same address, and I'll put you on the list if you're not already there. If somebody's listening or has wondered what the next movie will be, that's how you find out. There's also the Afterglow movie group over on Facebook. Just sign up for that one. I think you can get in without any trouble. And you'll find a files listing in there that shows upcoming afterglow movie list. There's a bunch of films in there. Many we've already seen. I've got to clean it up and add new stuff to it. If you see something streaming that you think is pretty good, or you saw that's available online, let us know, whether it be pay or free. Nearly all the films that we do are available for free with advertising. So, or it's in the public domain. Either way, let me know, and we'll put it on the list. I certainly am not the last authority when it comes to films. And we've hit all the big classics, and we may go back to some of them simply because it's been a few years since we've done them, but there's been a whole, huge crush of independent films that are available because of HD video, and some of them are good, some of them not so good, but they all fall within the same, trap, which is science fiction films that can be good, or science fiction films that can derail and turn into a flaming mass of carnage, which is typically what happens with most science fiction films, which is part of the reason why we like doing them, is because not only the subject matter, but the fact that the director and the grandiose ideas, the writer and producer and director end up turning into this mass of flaming wreckage simply because they were in over their heads. So that's it from me. I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll catch you here next week at 10:30. This is KE5ICX. Clear.
KE5ICX and 5IMS.
Hey, JJ, go ahead.
I wanted to apologize for being late, but the dog decided that he needed to go out, and once he went out, he realized that white stuff that was on the ground is all gone, so he had to inspect every square inch of the backyard. So it took me forever to bring him back in, and of course, being the backyard was quite muddy by then, I had to clean up his feet and everything, so I was a lot later than I'd anticipated being, and I do apologize. It's N5IMS.
Oh, let me tell you about pets. One of the things that you can be guaranteed is on Saturday night, as soon as the nets start up, I turn up the radio a little bit, dogs decide, I've got 2 of them, it's time to go outside, it's time to come inside, it's time to go outside, it's time to come inside. And this goes on and on and on and on. So it's no surprise that happens. So it's interesting. One of the folks here that comes in, takes care of the doggies when I'm away, has been on the radio, of course, many times. And I had a dog that is passed on since then, but whenever she got on the radio, the dog would start wagging his tail because he knew the voice, and I thought that was kind of fun. The dog would recognize that audio-wise, but animals are funny creatures, and sometimes they have their own schedule over yours.
And the other thing, quite often, their schedule is, it has to be done now because I waited for you to figure out that I was going to need something, and you never did until now when I'm forcing you to do it, even though, 5 minutes beforehand you took them out because you had that 5 minutes to do it. But that wasn't enough, that just reminded me that now I do have to go. I didn't go then, I just played around out in the back, but, once I came back inside and you got busy, then I knew I really did have to go.
Yeah, I got this whole routine in the morning with the dogs. When I get up early, the one dog gets up, he hears me, fine, okay, I'm going to let you out. I let him outside, and then he'll come back in, right? And then the other dog sees that the lights are on, and she can't hear anymore. She's deaf, but she recognizes movement and that, so she's still situationally aware. She gets up and it's time to go out. Well, then you got to get up and let them both out again, and then they come in, and you got to remember that's just a test. The first round is to take care of immediate business, and then when you're moving around as a doggy, you decide, well, I've got some other business I have to do too. So then they scratch at the door and they want outside again. So I've got this whole ritual figured out along with coffee in the morning so that I know I'm going to be up 4 or 5 times, letting them in, letting them out, letting them in, letting them out, letting them in. There's no way that it can all happen at the same time. It's impossible, but the timing is almost identical in every case. So I'm going to be up and letting them out in 1, 2, 3, 4 different times. That's to be expected.
Yeah, I enjoyed when we had 2 dogs that basically were litter mates. So, you know, they were very bonded together and pretty well had to remain, you know, close to each other. Now, every now and again, you know, you'd find one in one room and one in the other, but for the most part, they had to be close together. So it was good. You know, we could use it as an advantage, and you know, when one of them had to go out, we'd call the other one and make them go out, so they were both doing their business together. So it kind of gave you a little bit, but you know, on the downside, when it came time to feeding, to make sure that you know, they both got their food, especially after one of them was put on a prescription diet. You know, we had to feed them in their kennels, so just to make sure that A, they ate all of their food, and B, they did not eat the other one's food, because the prescription food is about 4 times as much as the regular food. So, you know, you gotta make sure you feed the right one to the right dog, and you know, but it was nice. You know, they were our dogs. This is my daughter's dog, so you know, I was accused at one time of stealing her dog, because originally those two, you know, the brown dog was mine, and the dog that, you know, looked like a Rottweiler was hers. And of course they left for a year to go to an apartment, but the Rottweiler was not the proper breed for the apartment, so couldn't stay there. So they stayed at the house, and of course, you know, staying here in a year, they kind of bonded to us, and you know, so you know, I got blamed for that. So I'm trying my best to not get too bonded to this dog, even though he's a real sweetheart. He's huge, but he's lovable, and you know, it's nice. And you know, I do miss our dogs, but I think I'm getting old enough that I'm not too sure that I can, you know, feel safe having another one again. It's N5 IMS.
Well, JJ, it sounds like it's too late. You're already bonding with that dog, so understood. Yeah, I kind of got the same feelings. I had 3, now I'm down to 2. So and they're both getting a little old. One is very old. The other one is mid-age dog, but I don't know. Yeah, I got the same feelings. How long do you want to go and get another animal, knowing that maybe the animal will outlast you? So those problematical things, but they're so wonderful and likable, and I kind of make the excuse that maybe, you know, you put in the will, or you put down that if something happens to you, that you send it to a good family or somebody that you trust, and they will take over after that. So I still think animals. I've always had a dog of some sort. That when I first moved here in '89, I didn't have a dog for about 6 or 8 months. And then after that, I had to have one, and they're part of the family, and they matter to you, and they're characters, and they do crazy things, and yes, they're a pain because they do dumb things too, but then so do people, and so do I. So we're just all in this together, I guess. So I can't imagine not having a pet. It just they're real help make you whole as a human being, because they're just characters and they love you unconditionally. That's kind of how I feel. KE5ICX.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Now, I grew up with cats, so I'm kind of a cat person. I understand them. And, of course, one advantage with cats is cats are more independent. So, you know, if you need to get up and, you know, go away for several hours, you can do that. The cat will be fine when you come back. You know, dogs require more active participation, should I say. But, you know, my son got a dog, you know, quite a while ago, and, you know, that dog, you know, I wasn't, you know, too keen on dogs. The only dogs I've had, you know, had access to beforehand, you know, they just seemed like they were an awful lot of work and what have you, and they didn't really give you back much. Now, you know, on, you know, giving them credit for that is they really didn't know me. You know, it was just, you know, friends or relatives' dogs that you don't see very often, so they were not bonded to you at all. So, you know, that's probably why they were somewhat distant from me. But, you know, I just never felt attachments to them. But, you know, with his dog, I eventually got, you know, where I was walking her and, you know, playing with her and petting her and, you know, basically, you know, got used to it. And she was very patient, so she taught me what I needed to know to properly take care of dogs. Not necessarily everything, but, you know, how to recognize, you know, when they needed something. You know, when she needed feeding, you know, she was able to, you know, like come get me and like bring me to her bowl or bring me to the water bowl or whatever. So I kind of knew what to do, and, you know, take me to the back door if she needed to go out or what have you. So, you know, she was able to teach me. One thing she didn't teach me, which of course I fell in the trap when we had got those two puppies, that I didn't realize you actually have to train the dog how to play. You know, they don't instinctively know to play fetch. You have to, you know, play fetch for them. And of course, I tried tossing things, but with two dogs, you know, it's more of a competition. You toss the thing out there, and they both go for the same one. So, you know, they look at each other, and one gets it like, so this is mine, and then they both walk back without either of the toys that you toss. So you got to run out and get the toys and come back and what have you. I may have let off on the microphone. I apologize, but you know, it was that, and you know, so the puppies we didn't really teach properly how to play, and of course this one, you know, he's a rescue, so he already learned how to play. So, you know, he's got his toys, and, you know, you can toss something around the house, and he will be happy to run get it. And if you don't toss what he wants, he will go bring you what he wants you to toss for him and do it. So, you know, it's nice now seeing from him. He's teaching me things that I wish I would have known for the puppies. Send 5 IMS.
Yeah, well, there's a symbiotic relationship there. They'll teach you how to do things too, as you mentioned. So, yeah, they are characters, and they are quite engaging. So, all right, JJ. Well, I'm going to go sit down in my comfy chair for a little bit and then go to bed. But thanks for your contributions this evening, and we'll do this again next week, I guess. Hopefully, if I can get this movie to work. It's like stuck in one place, so I don't know what happened. It worked at one time, but not anymore. Guess we'll find out.
I'm sure you'll get it. If not, you'll find another good movie and stuff. And you know, technically, it's not Sunday morning yet, so if you find something, you can still post it in time and what have you. The only downside is you'll probably have to write up another one of your stories, but those are always interesting, and I enjoy them. But you take care, and I'm glad you're feeling a little better, and hopefully you're able to fully recover and get your strength back, because I know recovery on anything takes a while, and you never feel like you've got quite enough energy until way more time has passed than you thought it would. But you take care, and we'll talk to you later, and we'll probably see you, Sunday night on the traffic net. You take care, and I appreciate you running the nets and stuff. It's 75 IMS. Clear on your final. 7-3.
Well, thank you, JJ. And yeah, I feel 1,000% better than I did a week ago tonight. So, yeah, just keep soldiering along. Getting old is no fun. It's not for sissies. All right, I'll catch you later. Thank you. Have a good evening. And yeah, I'll post all that tomorrow morning sometime. See you later. This is KE5ICX. I'm clear, and you are